So now you know how to forge powerful equipment and are ready to take on your enemies. But in all that time spent grinding, you couldn't help but notice that you wish you had a companion to help you in your journey. But not just any companion. One who never has any obligations to anyone else other than you. One who you can gloriously ride into the heat of battle to smite your enemies. One whose power rivals that of the gods. Or, someone who has to take care of your farm while you go out and have epic adventures.
Yes, water my plants, slave.
You can be strong enough to beat the game by yourself, but there's just something about having a companion by your side while you conquer the world that makes it so much more satisfying. So today, I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of monster taming. Oh, and by the way, if you wouldn't mind sticking around till the end of the video, I have an announcement that has to do with Factory 4. Anyway, you may think monster taming is a snap, and it is, don't get me wrong. However, there are some things you may not have known about taming that may surprise you. But before we begin, to make things a little easier for you guys, in this tutorial I'm going to split each topic of taming in this video in different sections. I put what time each category starts in the description below. So if you want to start at a certain point in the video, go below now. Okay, now let's begin. Taming monsters. Taming a monster is something you can do as soon as you own a monster barn, and can be easy or difficult depending on the monster you're trying to tame. But for the sake of keeping this video simple, let's start with taming a woolly. To begin with, you're going to need some items to give the monster in question in order to tame it. Usually, monsters only accept items that they drop as gifts to tame them. However, in this case, I think the woolly will pretty much take any item you give it. Once you give the monster in question an item, a heart will appear above its head. The heart will either turn into a skull, meaning you failed, or it will grow until it's reached its max size, meaning you succeeded in taming the monster. But this was only a woolly. Other monsters may take a little more time and effort to tame. After you have tamed the monster, it will start following you immediately, which can be good if you want someone who can tank some hits or deal damage. But if you don't want it with you, all you have to do is talk to it like you would with any of the villagers and tell it to go home. If you do so, he will immediately teleport to the monster barn, saving you the trouble of walking all the way back there and dropping him off. However, there's something you need to know about the monster barn. It will only hold up to 4 monsters per room, and you can only upgrade the barn up to 3 times, giving you a maximum total of 12 monsters per barn. So be cautious about how many monsters you are taming until you plan ahead for which monsters you want in your barn. Farm work. Now that you have this little guy with you, it's time to explain how monsters can help you on your farm. To begin with, unless you've obtained a monster by means of story progression like the Green Fairy, then the monsters won't like you very much starting off, and you will have to earn his love. To start with, monsters won't do any farm work for you until their affection meter is at 4. And they won't plant any seeds for you until their affection meter is at 8. There are multiple ways to raise their affection for you, the simplest being to take them with you on your adventures, but you'll level them up much faster if you brush them, feed them, and take them with you on your adventures every single day. But not to worry, farm work isn't the only thing that raising their affection meter will do for you. Remember that woolly we befriended? Well, he is one of the many monsters that will give you an item every single day while you have him in your monster barn. And the more he likes you, the better the items get. Woolies start off by giving you 1 small wool each day, but if you raise his affection meter high enough, he'll start giving you 1 large wool each day, which is a very good crafting item and will also give you a good amount of money if you decide to ship it, which is very good if you're taming monsters early, as you will need money later on. Also, one little side note I forgot to mention was that depending on how much your monsters like you, it will either walk up and stand near you, or it will start running around like crazy.
Don't you run from me, Jerry!
Monsters in battle. When you tame a monster, it will start off at a level that makes sense for the area it's in. For our woolly, it'd be around level 5 to 20. But just as you've gained levels from defeating monsters, your tame monsters will as well. And just not the monsters you have in your party, the monsters in the barn will also gain experience from monsters you defeat as well. But while the monsters in your party get 100% of the experience from fights, the monsters in your barn will only get 50%. Different monsters can help in different ways, like the Green Fairy can use wind magic, while our woolly can use offensive attacks like headbutting. But monsters can have different uses outside of combat too. For example, you can ride certain monsters and use their moveset while you're on them. They can also alert you to hidden items in the area by way of having a treasure chest appear above their head. Some monsters like the woolly will start off weak, but if you take them with you on your adventures, their levels and their strength will increase as yours does. But does that mean that's the only way to make your monster stronger? Absolutely not. If you watched my last Rune Factory video, you should know that certain items will have certain effects on your equipment. But what if I told you it was the same for monsters as well? Interesting, right? Well, to buff your monster by way of items, you need to give them what items you want them to have to increase their stats. For example, an iron ore if you want them to have some more defense. However, there are some rules to this system, the first being that you can only give your monster one stat item per day. So that means no cramming ores down his throat all day long. The second is that percentage items will stack on them. For example, let's say I give my Woolly an item that increases its crit chance. If I do this once a day, my Woolly will eventually be able to crit every single time he attacks a monster. However, as far as stats go, I have not thoroughly tested out this method of powering up monsters, so I'm not sure if the items that increase base stats like attack and defense will go 1-for-1 with the items that you give it, so keep that in mind when you're doing this. Boss taming. Had a rough time defeating monsters at any point in this game? Well, how about we get some revenge and make it our work slave? Yes, you can indeed tame boss monsters. However, as you may have guessed, this is not as easy as taming the other monsters. To start, boss monsters can only be tamed with one specific item, and almost all boss taming items take some time getting. So, for the sake of simplicity, let's tame a boss monster who is not only one of the easiest bosses to tame, but is one of the funniest creatures to have following you. This giant frickin' apple tree. Taming a boss is the same as taming any other monster, but it can take some time, and the only item you can use to tame this monster in particular is Green Fire Plus. What I recommend doing for bosses you want to tame is to stock up on the item they require. Around 3 or 4 of the item is a safe bet, and using the save point that is outside the boss room. There's almost always a save point outside the boss room, so this shouldn't be a problem. Once you do this, just try and tame the monster, and if you fail, do a soft reset and try again until you succeed. And don't worry, taming bosses can always take more than a couple of tries. It took me around 7 resets to successfully tame this guy, who I lovingly named Jerry. And if you thought riding a little monster like the Woolly looked silly, just watch this. And that about covers everything you need to know about taming and using monsters. Normally I'd just end it here, but not this time, so bear with me for just a second. Around 2 months ago, I made a tutorial about forging items in Rune Factory 4, because the way everything was done confused me, and it took a good amount of time looking for every bit of information that pertains to forging and crafting. After about an hour or so of researching, I got a little frustrated because there was no easy explanation on how to forge. I looked at YouTube, I looked at GameFAQs, but none of them really helped me that much. So what I decided to do then was make a video that was very simple and very good at explaining what forging does, and hopefully make it just a little bit entertaining for people to watch. And in a way, it worked. My tutorial video is by far my most successful video on my channel, and seeing people support me and saying they like my explanation, even going as far as giving me some more tips on the system in the comments section, inspired me to keep making videos. So to celebrate that fact, I decided to make this month Rune Factory Month. Starting with this video, I plan to make a Rune Factory video every week until the end of June. But along with this, I would absolutely appreciate it if you guys would let me know if there's any type of video you want me to do for Rune Factory. It can be a how-to, a top 5, or whatever. It doesn't even have to be Rune Factory 4. It could be Rune Factory 3, Tides of Destiny, or whatever you want. And the best way to support me is to like and subscribe. It lets me know that you guys like what I'm doing and want to see more of it. But I think I'll just leave it here until next week. So as always, until next time, see you later. Hey, did you like the video? I know I just covered this, but if you liked the video and you want to watch more of what I do, click the subscribe button below or the link at the top of the video. And like it too if you want. And just to make this clear, I upload a video every single Saturday. So I guess I'll see you then.